Welcome to another backtesting episode. It's been a few days since I was last on the backtesting charts, but we're going to continue with another day. So we're going to pick up from where we left off, which was towards the end of January the 25th. I believe I probably articulated the fact that it was a low probability day. There was no news. The market hadn't framed something that we were looking for. Therefore, there was nothing to do. So we're going to move into Wednesday the 26th, where we do have FOMC statement. So that is the big high impact news driver in terms of FOMC. Now, traditionally, and certainly in live market scenarios, I wouldn't trade today. However, as the news is at 2 p.m, we can obviously trade the AM session. So that is where the focus is likely to be. I'm also going to get rid of this BPR. It's not clear price action. We haven't respected it. We've traded. We created it here. We traded down into it. We've overlapped it, closed below, traded back above it. So to me, that's not of high importance. The price is not respecting it in the sense that ultimately it should have acted as resistance for lower prices, but it didn't. Traded below, traded above, back in. Not to say that we're not going to reprice higher, but I'm not looking at that as a key PD array. Okay, so what we're going to do is skip forward. So that should be, okay, new day. Next session should be London.
Sorry, I'm having trouble.
Oh,
Please
Alexa,
try
stop.
a little while.
Alexa can be so random.
I think we can just
Alexa,
listen
stop.
to me.
Thank you. I tell you, sometimes you just want it to be obedient. Right. Here we are. Okay, so we're going to venture back out to the high time frame. We are going to see where we are. Okay. Okay. Well, let's just put that on its right time frame. There's probably some more. Oh god, my PC is moving so slow. Okay. Just because I want clarity in terms of what I'm doing, so let's just move all of this stuff. And okay, well, we're going to use the H4 anyway. Okay, so that was the high. This price action is really not clear to me right now, which is a shame. But let's work through, and potentially we'll find some clarity. So we have low there. So these are Tuesday's lows. Okay, I'm going to remove this liquidity pool for in fact, I'm just going to move the liquidity pool here. But this is not, it's not high probability. What would be more high probability for me is this previous day's high Q5 here within this SIBI. That would be more high probability in terms of seeing lower prices. So that's something for us to look at. I'm just going to remove these for the time being because they're not above. Well, some are above, some are below. We want consistency in price action. What we've got here is previous day's high, but again, we've got varying levels, and it's not a previous day's high if we are looking at this candle here across all the members. So let us begin with IOF, which currently it's not clear. If we go out to the daily, let's have a look. It's to the downside, although we've had near term since we purged this low here. So that's something for us to note. Let's see if we can find that low on the dear. Let's see if we can find that low, which I believe it's this low here. So that is, to me, looks like an important low. Okay. Okay. I'll put it as that for now. And what I want to do is drop out to the weekly to find the corresponding low on the other members. Give or take. Okay. That kind of presents a what we actually want is that, because it's been purged. So we've got to do it properly. So let's get that in. Okay. That provides better context for us. Okay. So they all purged that kilo. So as far as I'm concerned, Let's use the daily. Relative to the daily, IOF is to the downside. Following the high time frame displacement, lower, which was initiated by high time frame SMT. Okay, important to note that near term we have seen a retracement market profile. However, until I note premium PDAs being violated, I am remaining with a bearish stance. Now, it's important to note that if we were referring to the H4 time frame, because price is below the true week open, or was below the true week open, that would have supported higher prices. So it would have supported the retracement market profile, right? So that's just something to consider and bear in mind. Yeah, that is something to consider and bear in mind. We haven't seen a high time frame, in my opinion, SMT at the lows. Therefore, it's telling me that we're most likely going to revisit those lows. If we saw a cracking correlation at the lows, then I would certainly be looking at potentially a sustained move higher, but we didn't. So for now, I'm still maintaining my bearish stance. Okay. I've noted how price was manipulating the highs whilst displacing through the lows. However, as I have noted a retracement, this could break down. Okay, so that's what we are keeping an eye on. Okay, so ERL, IRL, extremely powerful. So we purged the old low Q4 YC. Old low's fine. And reject. Therefore, my immediate attention turns to the CB daily as a potential high time frame DOL. Important to note that the rejection was not supported, or should we say coupled, by a high time frame SMT. Therefore, I will be monitoring this retracement leg unless see a high time frame SMT at the lows. Okay, so that's what we are focusing on. Okay, so now okay, so TOs, we've got a bit of disjointed price action between the members. So currently ES and YM are trading above their 2-week open, whilst NQ is trading below. This currently represents low probability conditions, although I do anticipate NQ to trade above. Okay, so currently low probability conditions for me. It's not conducive of a trade idea right now, any of my trade ideas. Very much need to see price trade up into ideally the CBH4. However, we do have, specifically on NQ, if we go out to the daily, we've got what am I on about? Sorry, not specifically to NQ. We've got this CB here that we're currently closer to on ES than on NQ. Now, if we then look at the H4 is overlapping the higher CB on also. We've got an overlap of confluences in this area here, and this is why I'm keen to see what happens when we get here. Nothing at the lows for me to support anything. I'm looking at what happens when we get above. We could very much be in a market maker buy model. We will need to see. Okay, so SPs. Right, so I have noted clean and clear SPs, swing points at the lows, which could set the stage for higher prices if coupled with a high time frame SMT, Kraken correlation, whatever you want to say. However, I will be monitoring the previous day high Q5 swing points as this could also support a trade idea lower. Okay, so I haven't. There was nothing clean and clear about. Sorry, let me just make this note here. The reason I am monitoring the previous day Q5, which is Friday essentially, is because we have an overlap of confluences in the form of the previous day high key price level, the CB H4, and CB daily. Okay, so that's why I'm focusing on that specific previous day's high. We had no clean and clear high in relation to the previous day, because the ultimate high was not a swing point. We did have a H4 liquidity pool which has been ran out on all members. So currently, as the market is presently constructed, there is no high time frame correlation. We're above the true week open and the true day open, so supporting stacked TOs at the highs. Don't have stacked TOs at the lows. Okay. So never know why that does that. Rather bizarre. Okay. Okay. London low. I'm gonna get that on all three. Could be a potential draw. Do we have? Interesting. I thought I did that, but maybe not. Okay. Just want to make sure I've got clear reference points that I know I'm working with. There we go. Perfect. Okay. So, why do I? Okay. So here we are. We know we're just gonna make a reference point of the new. So it's a two-stage delivery. Hold on. We're gonna get volatility from equities open, so we're gonna put that in there. But what we need to do is that there. And put that there. Okay. So that is what we want to see, and we just want to make a reference to, this is where it's sort of like the news embargo, just so we know. Okay, so we're going to use a 5-minute. So the plan is clear. We're looking for shorts. Want to see price trade above here, potentially a high time frame cracking correlation of some sort. Then we're going to use one of my models, trade lower. That's what I'm looking for. Okay. Just going to use an M15. Apologies for my fans. I have no idea why they just constantly... Well, I do know. Probably need a new PC. Right, 5-minute. Let's play price and let's speed this up a tad. And whilst that's going, I'm going to grab a quick drink. Just stopping price there. Hold on. What time is that? 7:30. Actually, it's probably we want it on the hour. 7:45. Probably the next candle. Or the close of this one. Okay. Why did I do that? Because we have a swing high. Which I just want to capture. Now I don't know if this yet is going to be the New York session high, so currently I'm just going to mark it as a H1 liquidity pool. But again, it's important to our model, so it's important to capture. Now as we can see, YM's very close to the CIBI, but there's nothing to do, nothing to do yet. We've seen displacement higher, so quite clearly, let's go there. Actually, let's leave it there. Okay. So we want to have this marked up. That's the most obvious one. However, with YM, with NQ, this one was first, which is that tiny one in there, which I'm just going to omit for the time being. In fact, with NQ, I'm just going to mark up the lower one as well. There's no harm in doing that. May as well whilst we're here. It's no big job. Okay. So we want to go back to the M15. We just want to get to essentially the news embargo. So we've purged H1 liquidity pool. That's not enough for me to look at a trade idea. So if price was to go short from here, then it goes short. When I get to equities open, okay. Yeah, there's nothing for me to remotely concern myself with a trade idea right now? Yes. Well, look at price in proximity to true week open, high time frame PDRA. We've barely wicked into this CIBI H4. I think that's actually overlapping with the daily. Let me double check. Yeah, but we're not yet there. There's nothing there for me to consider a high probability trade. Just seems to be accumulation here, which would be perfect to manipulate the highs and then trade lower. But and there's nothing for me, as far as I'm concerned, in my models to frame a trade higher. Okay, so we're just going to continue as we are. Equities open now, where we expect to see volatility. Price could trade lower from here. If it does, it goes. Remember, we've got FOMC today, so price may respect the BISI and continue higher, which it has. Which on YM now really brings into focus the previous day's high, Q5. It's moving rather slow, I'm not even going to lie. Does it actually do anything? Let's go again. Okay. So a rejection there. Nothing for me to frame anything here. But, intraday scalps would certainly be possible. If you were framing we could see low time frame SMT at the lows, which could support higher prices. Price traded into the BISI H1 across all three members. Seem to be rejecting. Current time is approximately gone up to 11. So not seeing anything yet whereby I can frame something. Just going to pause it there because we've got a new high formed. Let's move into the hourly. So we had two. Just going to move this up. There. Okay. Again, not referencing it as the New York session high because we don't know yet. Although we are getting to that point in time. Excuse me. Really wanted to try and frame something in the AM session, but seems very unlikely that will occur. But let's see. Price is just consolidating, and again, largely due to the fact that we've got high impact news in the PM session in the form of the FOMC statement, and then we obviously have the press conference following it, and we also have the federal funds rate. So it's going to be highly volatile. But currently, with this price action, there is nothing to do. Now, yes, you would have got some people who would have framed a position from the BISI, seek high prices. That's their model. Good for them. I've got nothing. It's nothing for me, but if it's for them, I hope that they are able to execute and they're profitable. So we have essentially now 1 o'clock. Let's just go back to the hourly. So we've essentially now we can classify that as the New York high. Okay. So now we've gone into the PM session. And as we saw accumulation during the AM session, that presents a clear possibility that we could see lower prices. So, due to the volatility of FOMC. So, hang on. Excuse moi. I need to too much concentrate on the highs and not concentrate on the lows. Okay, so it's New York AM, and I want that there, and we want that there. That's potential downside draws. It's going to go out to the 4 hour. We'll probably find that the London lows are now a H4 low. Which they are, which makes them highly liquid. Anyway, let's continue. Remember that we've got the 2-phase delivery for the news. So again, you've seen how I've discerned why it was low probability initially for me. That's not to say that it can't change to high probability, but I need certain things to happen in price action which haven't occurred yet. We're getting to the news now, which we should see some real volatility. Just pause there. Okay. There we go. Okay, so potential Q4 setup, but not something that I would take. Okay. God, I hate the I don't know why it's not as responsive as it needs to be. So the high of that 46.97. So it did form a lower low. Now, I wouldn't be taking that based on that news. God no, that would be asking for trouble. We had a small purge above here, but that's nothing. So again, I have very strict rules, and those rules have not resulted yet in a trade. Price has traded now below the true week open on all 3 members. Time are we? Okay. And obviously it targeted the liquidity pool that we anticipated it would do. So yeah, this PC is just struggling. Okay. Okay, so we saw low time frame SMT here, price trading up into the daily CB above the true week open. Didn't want to get up to the higher CB. And has now traded lower. Saw a H1 market structure shift here. Traded through, closed below this BISI. Therefore inverting it and likely to draw down to the previous day's low. But there was no trade idea for me in this session. Unclear swing points at the highs relative to previous day. You had this swing point here that was purged by all of them, so there's no Kraken correlation there at all. So yeah, it's just a day that didn't reward us with anything, but to some extent you sort of anticipate that, and this is why I said that with FOMC statement, where you have the federal funds rate as well, typically is a day I wouldn't trade. I would just take the day off, because price action is very volatile. Yes, you can probably capture something in the morning, but traditionally, because of how volatile that high impact news driver is, you tend to see a form of consolidation, or certainly price not being as expansive as it can be. So it's always worthwhile to monitor the AM session, but not necessarily will you be in a position to trade it. I personally just take the path of least resistance, which is take the day off and then come back the following day and see if something is set up and framed. But I wanted to take you guys through that. You saw how I again determined that the conditions for me were low probability. Why? That was because price was looking to trade above the true week open. I wasn't able to identify a clean and clear swing point for the previous day's high across all three members. Therefore, that constitutes low probability conditions. That being said, because the previous day's high relative to Q5 was an overlapping confidence key price level with the CBH4 and the CB daily, that was a point of interest that I was looking for. And if price was to trade up to that level and reject and potentially provide a high time frame Kraken correlation, then that would have given me the confidence of taking some form of short. It would have satisfied my trade model, and I would have been able to have taken that position. From the opposing vantage point, had price traded lower and purged the previous day's low, and coupled that with a high time frame SMT at the lows, then that would have presented a potential opportunity of seeking higher prices and taking longs. So, clearly outlined what I was looking for. Price did neither. Therefore, that is a no trade scenario for me. Okay. Again, there would have been trade opportunities for people who trade potentially lower time frames, are looking at different key levels because price is fractal. Then, if the market presents an opportunity to take a short or a long, kudos to them. That's their model. For me and my very specific and strict models that I have, the market did not present an opportunity for me to capitalize. Remember, I'm looking for high probability trade setups. You only require 2 or 3 of those per month to have a very lucrative month. And if you couple that with a level of funding that or account size that you can have, that can be extremely lucrative. So hopefully you guys took something from this session. Yes, there was a no trade, but there was a lot to take away in terms of seeing the market, looking at key areas and how price reacts to those key areas, and ultimately what forced me to stay out of the market. So this was a really interesting one. Hopefully you took something away from it. I'm going to take a break for an hour or so, and then I'll probably come back a bit later on and record the following day, which will be Thursday the 27th, and we'll go again and see if there is an opportunity to trade the market before the close of the month. So hopefully you found this one useful, something to take away, and I will catch you guys in the next one.